Good morning, or whatever time you're watching this. Going to paint this nice barn scene with this road. I was painting the other day across the field, and the gentleman who manages this area said you should drive down this Cherry Lane, it's called, and check that out. So here I am, and he was right. There's a nice scene here. So let's get started on this. If you're watching this on YouTube, you do me a favor, hit the like button, that'd be awesome. Subscribe if you want to. What I do is I do the first 20 minutes or so for the YouTube public, and then I take the rest to Patreon, because my Patreon subscribers are very, very helpful in their support, so I reward them for that, and they get to see the whole thing without any commercial interruptions. So if you want to become a Patreon subscriber, click on the link below. If not, that's cool too, but enjoy the portion of this that is available to the public. So first thing I'm going to do is draw in my composition, just kind of get an idea where things are. I really like that road. That's one of the things I want to get in. I also want to get my perspective fairly correct here. One thing when you're drawing architecture, a huge mistake I make is that the closer you get to your vanishing point, if you're in a one-point perspective, which pretty much this is, the slant on this roof is going to get more steep. It's going to get more straight up and down like this, and as it moves out from the vanishing point, it's going to get more slanted like that. A lot of people make the mistake of making them absolutely parallel, or even reversing that. It's a little bit of info there. Hopefully it'll help you with your painting. This is interesting. I'm holding my arm up here, and then that's about it. Just checking how this barn how it kind of slants down. There's this opening here. I'm going to make the opening a little bigger than what it is in life. There's an outbuilding back in here. That actually might be the house. I don't know. We'll kind of get a slight indication of that. And then we have our slope of land here. Up here it's corn, and then we have our road. Road's going to be slightly tricky. It's pretty darn small coming out here. It actually appears to slant this way almost. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to hold my brush up to it and measure that slant. Problem is it doesn't go up that high. Then we have kind of a bend of land there, a bit of land where it flattens out, and it kind of comes down like that. And it starts to come over like this. Back here is actually a driveway, so I'm actually off on my measurement. When you're doing things like this, you want to constantly be measuring. So this part of the road goes like that, and like this. And then we have our little bend of land there. And that goes up just a little bit and then terminates. Some more land, and then we have trees back there. this really starts to slant over like this. I'm actually going to measure these angles with my brush and then measure a little bit of angle right there. That's pretty good. And then it really starts to flatten out there. A lot of times with these roads too, I just try to kind of feel it. Do a lot of sketching from life, you'll eventually get this stuff down, where you have a landscape sense, as John F. Carlson called it, where you'll be able to just kind of sense if things are off. Okay, we have a tree here. Right about there we have some crops that go up. Back in here's our cast shadow. I definitely want to get that in. So I'm just going to analyze this drawing really quick. I think this needs to go up maybe a little bit higher. I might make this barn look a little older than what it is. We have our tree there. We have some windows. This is cinder block that comes up like about like that. Not going to worry too much about the details right now. There, I think that's pretty good. So now let's start adding some color to this. I'm going to put in my darkest dark first. We have that nice dark door right there, or doorway. It's not quite a pure black, so I don't want to paint it as dark as I can. I'm going to lighten it up with just maybe a bit of ochre and a touch of titanium white. Now inside the door I see a hint of blue. By the way, I don't think I talked about my colors. Got right into it too quick. Titanium white, cadmium yellow light. Excuse me, it's more of a cadmium lemon. Cadmium orange, yellow ochre, transparent red oxide, Venetian red, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, cerulean blue, and viridian. I'm sure somebody will yell at me in the comments about not doing that right away at the beginning. I apologize. I'm a one-man show out here, so just gonna put that hint of blue in there. Okay, so I'm gonna build up on my shadows from here on out. There's the shadow side of the barn. Actually, I should say I'm going to build up on my darks from here on out. Actually, this dark has to go almost to the edge. I'm going to get a little bit, become a little bit of stickler in the drawing at this point. And the wood side of the barn, the wood part of the barn, I should say, on the shadow side, is it's not quite as dark as this. It's a little bit lighter in value, but it's darker than this and just a hair warmer. Tricky to measure. And right in here we get just a hint of fairly dark again. Want to make sure that your vertical lines are pretty much perfectly straight up and down, unless you want your barn to look crooked. Okay, I'm going to clean that off and do get into some clean paint now. I'm going to switch to a bristle brush so I can go a little bit faster. And let's see, I'm going to kind of average out that cast shadow on the grass. The cast shadow of the grass is actually darker than the cinder block in the barn. So it's kind of an anomaly of the whole angles of consequent values thing by John F. Carlson. I might have to lighten this more in order, because I don't want to go too much darker with that. And then we have the road. And I'm going to squint at this as I'm looking at it, especially in this block-in stage when I'm just trying to average everything out. This is the same value, but it has more of a bluish tone than the cast shadow on the grass does. And then we have the same thing going on right here. Along the road there. There, these cast shadows are a big reason why I wanted to do this painting. Or paint this scene, I should say. Okay, so you can see when we get these darks in, how it, the painting's already starting to take shape. It already has a fairly decent read to it. So I think what I'm going to do from there is just move straight into color, and we're going to do a full block in, a full color block in of this, and then gauge all of our colors off of each other. I'm going to start right in there with the green that's in sunlight. Once again, I'm going to measure off of that dark right there. We can go a little bit more, slightly heavier green there. So at this point you want to ask yourself, what's the value difference and color temperature difference between here and here? Between your shadow there and in between this and that. So you're just comparing everything and making color and value adjustments as you go here. So after I put that in, I'm like, well, it might need to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to go a little lighter and ask myself, how is my how's my intensity? Am I too green? Am I too pure green? Do I need to neutralize my green? John F. Carlson talked about in his book on on landscape painting, which is, if you're a serious landscape painter, you must get that book. That is pretty much the Bible of landscape painting. And he talked about how yellows are the first color to drop out as things recede. So you want your strongest yellows, your strongest green yellows, to be in the foreground. Now this here, this vegetation gets slightly cooler and a little bit darker than this down here. That actually could probably go even more yellow, light and yellow. Which I'm going to do right now. Don't want to go too crazy with it. And then we have the soybeans. Never crazy about soybeans, their color and everything. Plus my wife is always telling me that soy's not good for me, so. But it's here, so let's paint it. But I got there's some cools. I can almost see some blues in here, which is really neat. In those slight shadow areas. I'm gonna hit this with just a little more. That yellow there. That soybean color, it's kind of a weird pinkish tone. Probably have to readjust it. I'm going to average it out. Might add just a touch of green just to tone it down. if I'm averaging out colors that I'm a little uncertain about, a lot of times I will just slightly neutralize them more than what I'm thinking, and then build up to more intensity as I go if need be. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop here for the YouTube public and take this over to Patreon. If you want to see me complete this commercial free, head on over. And I want to thank you for those on Patreon, especially for your support. And if you like this video, at least what you've seen so far, hit the like button. If you have questions, let me know. And we'll see you again.